Willem de Kooning. His works are among those that defined abstract expressionism. He became one of the most influential painters of the 20th century. Today, de Kooning is considered a great American master.
When I start something into the unexpected happens, but not always for the good. I mean, I work very spontaneously. In other words, I make the best of it.
Born in Rotterdam in 1904, de Kooning was apprenticed at age 12 to a local painting and decorating firm. At night, he attended the Rotterdam Academy of Fine Arts and Techniques. There, he received formal training, drawing from the model and rendering traditional subjects such as still lifes. Recent avant-garde movements such as Jugendstil with its sensuous line fascinated the young painter. At age 22, de Kooning emigrated to America, working his way aboard a ship. He settled in Hoboken, New Jersey, where he supported himself as a house painter. De Kooning soon moved across the Hudson River to New York City. There, he met other aspiring painters, including Arshile Gorky and Stuart Davis. De Kooning's art during these lean years revealed his interest in abstraction. These compositions echoed the surrealism of Miro and Picasso and of his friend Gorky. In 1936, de Kooning's work was included in a group show at the Museum of Modern Art. He now painted full-time, not forgetting his formal training in figure painting. His primary subject was the male figure. His models were friends, such as Rudolf Burckhardt, the photographer, and the poet Edwin Denby. Somber tonalities, traditional compositions, surfaces scraped and sanded until smooth characterized the artist's work in the 1930s. Line defined the images. De Kooning made use of his academic skills as a draftsman. But even these canvases show, as one critic observed, a feeling for paint surfaces and color. By early 1938, de Kooning met a young art student, Elaine Freed. The two were married in 1943.
When I first met Bill, a year after I got out of high school, he was working on paintings of men. He began to make drawings of me. Then from the drawings, he began his series of women paintings. He really began them in the late 30s, about 1939.
De Kooning later remarked to Elaine, "Before I met you, my paintings were all quiet and serene. Then they became turbulent." By 1945, de Kooning achieved a rhythmic flow between painting and drawing. Color and line merged, leading to the seminal work Pink Angels. He brought together two seeming opposites, figuration and abstraction. In 1948, at the Charles Egan Gallery, de Kooning had his first solo exhibition.
He decided not to show any of the women that he had been working on or any of the abstractions that had a different direction, were high in color.
Instead, he exhibited a dramatic series of black and white enamel paintings. These dynamic works, with slashing calligraphic brushwork and rich textures, echoed New York itself. a forbidding place, as Edwin Denby wrote, of streets with insistent buildings, forced in blocks, reverberating. The city teemed and pulsed with people, its tempo fast like jazz, a place of darkness, violence, and eroticism. The artist said, "I'm not interested in abstracting or taking things out. I paint this way because I can keep putting more and more things in: drama, anger, love, my ideas about space." In 1950, de Kooning returned once again to the figure as his dominant theme. He began a new woman's series. These paintings became famous and infamous. From large charcoal drawings, he began Woman 1 in June 1950. He painted it in bursts. Over and over, he scraped it down, reworked it, even abandoned it. It took him 3 years to complete. Exhibited in 1953, critical reaction focused on the subject, the emphatic, overpowering female figure. The new American woman in the avant-garde of her sex. Terribly tough, big city, mid-20th century dames. Jackson Pollock lamented de Kooning's return to the figure. "You're still doing the same damn thing. You never got out of being a figure painter." De Kooning himself saw them as comic, linked to caricatures. He said, "I wanted them to be funny, not look sad and downtrodden, so I made them satiric, monstrous, like Sibyls." Another series of abstractions followed in the mid-50s, based on the urban landscape. With swooping, slashing brushwork, surfaces scraped and scarred, the works carry the frenetic energy of New York, now with a wide palette of vibrant color. The gesture of the brush, the texture of the paint, become the subject. By the 1960s, de Kooning had gained an international reputation. De Kooning began spending more time out of the city, on the quiet eastern end of Long Island. He had separated from Elaine, and a daughter, Lisa, had been born to the artist and Joan Ward. He purchased a house in Springs, near East Hampton, in 1960, while still maintaining a New York studio.
Getting more interested in my own miracle in nature. I really get very elated seeing that the sky is blue and the grass is green, just the way it is.
De Kooning's last works painted in New York are expansive, light-filled, lyrical, evoking the pastoral landscape beyond the city. On Long Island, de Kooning designed and constructed a spacious new studio, and in 1963 moved permanently to Springs.
I think, of course, that the flatness of the land and the water had a great influence on him and his painting. And we would quite often bicycle to Louse Point. At sunset in the summertime, he was so excited about the color of the water. He would look at the flatness of the water and he would say, you know, like, "Now look at that, it's just quiet, like, quiet." Then it jumps out. The colors are both soft and then vivacious at the same time.
He took his work in new stylistic directions. Thick paint, viscous with oil, was applied in loose, easy strokes. The female figure returned as he explored the theme of the figure in the landscape. He said, "I can't get away from the woman. Wherever I look, I find her." In the 1970s, de Kooning continued to explore the themes of woman and the landscape like the relentless waves of the sea. Open compositions swelled like symphonies. Broad, sweeping brushstrokes became, in the 1980s, fluid bands of iridescent color. In these later years, the artist returned, in a sense, to his beginnings. The hand of the trained draftsman lies behind the calligraphic line that bends and lifts with balletic motion, like a human figure in an endless dance through space.
You know how an artist works. And so I said that when I was painting those figures, I got a feeling like I came into a room someplace. I was introduced to someone. For a fleeting second, I had this glimpse of this king. And I got interested in painting that. And I find myself staying with it. Not so much with this particular glimpse, but the emotion of it.